Tapes rolling.
Hey, what say we make a date to meet back here in about 45 seconds? I am Bruce Apar, and you are watching Frank Talks with Bruce the Blog. Frank Talks with Bruce the Blog is a Hudson Valley variety show of interesting people, ideas, topics, brought to you by Chase Media Group, which is a provider of multimedia marketing solutions for an omni-channel marketplace, as we like to say. And we also happen to publish The Penny Saver. And in addition to watching the show every week on Cablevision, you can also search us on YouTube. If you go to Townlink TV, and all of our past episodes will come up on YouTube. And we always like to thank our CEO, Carla Chase, and our Chief Strategy Officer, Frank J. Rich, for producing the show and bringing it to you. So let me ask you this question to kick off this show. Do you find that sometimes life is so busy that you try your best to write down all the things you have to do, places you have to go, times you have to be there, people you have to meet, and especially if you're a young family, when you have school and sports and all kinds of other activities that you're trying to get to? And do you find that sometimes you may miss something because you thought you wrote it down in the right place and you can't find it? Well, today we're going to talk about this great solution that I now have my own experience with, and it works really well. I could vouch for that. And it's called Burbio, B-U-R-B-I-O, and I'm really happy to welcome the founders of Burbio, Julie Roach and Dennis Roach. Welcome, Julie and Dennis.
Thank you.
And this is one of those ideas that is so simple. I know it was really difficult to pull off because that's the way these things work, right? The more simple the solution, the harder it is to get to, right? So why don't we just start off by telling everybody watching basically what Burbio does.
Sure.
Either one, just flip a coin. I don't know.
So Burbio, the idea behind Burbio is it's one place you can go to find out everything kind of local going on in your life. And it pulls together school and sports and after school activities and nonprofit groups and religious institutions, and really gives you one place you can go to find everything, and it allows you to have that work with whatever personal calendar solution you currently have. So if you use a Google Calendar or something on your iPhone, it allows you to pull that information in and sync it to whatever device you currently have, so that it really works with your life and just provides a much more organized solution.
We came up with the idea about 2 years ago. Julie and I we'd been married for 19 years, I don't know, some number like that. Anyway, we had run our town soccer league together. We had 4 kids, and we had also done a lot of other volunteering in the community. And I remember coming home saying, someone should put like a homepage for our life that we can go check. And what I was waving my arms and describing was essentially a collection of links out to things. And Julie basically played back to me, what you really want is a calendar in one place.
Right.
And I was smart enough to say, oh, that's a much better idea than I was just talking about. And so Julie went off and built it on the idea of taking all these different calendars that we normally get emails on or have to write down and remember and can't find, but basically have it be a platform that allows you to find everything.
Right. And anybody right now watching can go to online can go to burbio.com. I don't mean you have to be watching online. I'm saying go online and go to burbio.com, and they'll see. Again, it's a very simple, easy to use software tool, right? I mean, I don't even want to call it software tool, because even that sounds too techy. But it's a program. It's a simple program.
Right.
Yeah.
And I was saying that's another thing, is because as Dennis said, my first inclination wasn't necessarily to go out and build something. It was, let's find something. There has to be something that exists already, right?
Right.
And I looked and I looked and looked and looked. And to your point, so many of the things out there are just way, I would call it, over-engineered.
Yeah.
And what is a relatively simple problem, they're throwing too many bullets at, and it makes it too hard to use. So that's the whole idea behind Burbio. Is it simple enough for anybody to use it, and really it gets done the key things you need to get done.
Okay. Now the big question is, what does it cost?
It's free. And what you do is you sign up. It's your name and email and a zip code, and then you're in.
Right.
Your zip code is very important, because the Burbio will serve calendars to you and allow you to search with your zip code as a starting point. You can certainly search far away. And there's 3 different types of what we would call public calendars on Burbio. We take school feeds and sports feeds and some community calendars, and we can stream them. Basically, if you've ever gone to a public website, you'll see this little thing called an iCal feed. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. If you're just a regular consumer, it can be hard to use that, or it sucks everything and all you wanted was 4th grade band, and instead you got the entire school calendar. We take that and put it in an easy to use format for you. So we have over 1,000 calendars already like that just from Westchester. The second type of calendars are created by users. So you can go on, and I know, Bruce, you have done this, very quickly create a calendar for everything from a PTA organization to a volunteer group to a sports team to a carpool.
Right.
And then the third, we do work with some big organizations like YMCAs and church groups to help them get set up, because what they have now on Burbio is much better than what they have on their website.
And as you're saying, because I think we should emphasize this, because sometimes things seem too good to be true, but it is true. None of those organizations pay anything to you, right? It's totally free.
No, the idea is to create a platform where people can find it in one place. So what you're able to do when you go to Burbio is you can go to those calendars, you can pick the events that you see there that you want on your personal calendar and add them to a personal calendar that Burbio has, and then it allows you to synchronize to Google or Apple. So you don't have to give up any of your current calendars. It basically sucks it all in.
And I'm not being rude, but I'm just sort of, not that people will be able to really see it on screen, but the point being, so just last night, we have an organization, typical of the kinds of organizations you're talking about, in Yorktown, called Yorktown Organizations United. We have a general member meeting come up February 25th. So I went, last night I actually created the Yorktown Organizations United calendar, and then I added the February 25th event, and I immediately went to my iPhone, and the event was right there with the whole description of what's going to be discussed. So it's really a seamless operation. So what other organizations, just give us an example of, first of all, in Westchester, how many towns you have. Because I know you like to go by zip codes, more or less. Yeah. And I know you happen to be based in Pelham.
Yep.
But like you said, now you're really spreading your wings, and you're in northern Westchester and other places.
So we have users from 47 of the 52 zip codes that are in Westchester already on the service. Big organizations that use us include Badger Swim Club uses us now for their practices and meet schedules. Westchester Skating Academy is using us. Yorktown Athletic Club uses for basketball schedules. The New Rochelle YMCA. We've got some local church groups. Probably missing a few here.
No, and I was going to say, and the interesting thing too is that some of the groups that have started using, there's a church group in Pelham, and they initially just put some of the main church events on it, and then they kind of realized, oh, you know what, we could use this for the choir group, and we could use this for our youth groups. So now they actually have 5 different calendars up, and the parents there are so excited because those were 5 different things they had to manage before, and now they can just click a couple buttons, get everything they need, and sync it right up.
So for years I ran a basketball team, right? And we played all over the place, and I was always sending around spreadsheets with lists of practices in these gyms and that gym and games, and then when it would change, I would say, see the attached with the bold and the new, and I knew that I was torturing everyone, and I was certainly torturing myself, and I would have to send out so many reminder emails because I felt like there was no way that anyone could remember all the stuff or write it down properly. And all it would take was one kid not showing up, right? So right now, we put that on Burbio.
Right.
And we can still send emails around, but basically, people sign up, they synchronize to it, and then why don't you talk about the following that you can do for changes and things like that happens?
Right. So that's the other thing that with Burbio that is so nice is that normally when you get an email with a change of something, if you're not able to write it down right away, you remember you got it, but you forget, and you're going back and you're searching old emails, and it can be a real problem. With Burbio, the nice thing is once you put that event on your calendar, if there's a change to it, it automatically changes on your calendar, and you get an email notification just to let you know, say, hey, this is what's changed, and your calendar has been updated.
Right, and I know we were talking before, and I've experienced this. I think anybody who has either put on an event or attended an event has experienced, it may be weather related or for other reasons, something changes. And there's a sort of rule of thumb in event planning that a good portion of the people, no matter what you do, are not going to know about the change. And so I think that's a really valuable part of it. So we've talked about recreation and activities and school events and civic organizations. Depending on what town somebody lives in, I think we've all experienced this maybe to one degree or another. You go to the town's website and you're looking for, let's say, recycling. And sometimes the information will be presented in such a way that you could pull your hair out trying to figure out what you're even looking at.
Right.
So that's another opportunity, right?
Absolutely, and it's very easy for us to, we call it digitizing, but basically we take kind of whatever was in that PDF that may have been some color-coded eye chart that you can't really figure out, and we are able to put it in just a really nice, easy read to display. And if you save the link to it, you can just anytime you need to check it, you just click that link, and it's going to show you kind of what's next, what's coming up in the next week. So if you don't really need to see the full year's chart, you just need to see is recycling pick up tomorrow. You get that, and you can even.
So we've digitized over 30 towns' recycling calendars, and we actually ran a little promotion on Facebook where we just said, hey, you can find and we targeted to the zip code and said you can find Rye sanitation schedules now on Burbio, easy to read, easy to sync, and we were getting click-through rates that Facebook said, and I don't think they have time to. I think they were telling the truth. We're in the 99th percentile of effectiveness. Because it's a real pain point for people, because it's so hard. So I think one of the things that Burbio is sort of taking advantage of, or reflecting rather, is that when you talk about government information, there's really a movement right now, and it's centered in big cities now, about if the information is there, it should be made easy and accessible to the public.
Right.
And in big cities, you see this with stuff like restaurant ratings and landlord fines and maybe school ratings. But the same is true in our smaller communities for the important information. Just make it easy to use. So in our perfect world, and we've already started seeing this happen, organizations are basically setting information up on Burbio or having us do it for them. It doesn't take very long. And then linking to it. We'd love to see links to our calendars on all the government websites. Because and keep whatever the PDF is if they really like that, if people want to look at color-coded stuff. But it's a heck of a lot easier to do it via Burbio. As well, which is really the important thing, is people want to find out about it, and you want people to know about it.
Now, these days, just about everybody, adults included of any age, are on social media. So how does Burbio work with social media? I mean, in other words, have you gotten there yet? I know it's still in development stages.
I was going to say, a lot of our audience is moms. We have moms with multiple kids, multiple schools. They're the ones I think that have one of the biggest pain points in terms of calendar management. And what we found is there are a lot of moms of Facebook groups, and it's interesting because you'll look in there and you'll just see these threads about, oh my gosh, I missed this event. Did you hear about that? What's going on with this? They said, So you can tell that it's definitely something that this group, So we do get involved in the conversations there, which has been great. And then, as Dennis mentioned, in addition, we're able to kind of do a little bit of targeted advertising. So when we come out with a new type of calendar, or new set of sports schedules, or new things like that, we're able to promote that on Facebook. Sure. And then within the site itself, there is the ability to share. So you can create a group calendar, and there's a button right on there, and you can share that link. And again, that link will take anybody who clicks on it directly to that calendar, and then from there they can engage and join Burbio and interact with it.
Right. Okay.
It's important to note that the calendars on Burbio that are public, but your personal calendar, Bruce, the one you set up and you put some, you were telling us you accidentally put the whole recycling schedule on, which is great, because now you know when that is. Nobody can see that. And so that is not public. So when we say social, if you create your Yorktown United and you want to share it on Facebook and say, hey, we've just created this Burbio calendar, so now you can put everything, send us if you want anything on it. That's shareable. The personal calendar is very personal because obviously it's for someone's personal events. So I think that's important to note. We don't want people thinking that if they go on and start using Burbio, I think we've all had the experience in social media where you accidentally broadcast something that you didn't want to about yourself to a bunch of strangers. None of that happens here.
It's like, did I invite you to my party? Yes. I don't remember that. Yeah, no, that's absolutely true. And I mean, what other applications do you see? I know that, having gotten to know both of you, you're always thinking about new uses and how to solve people's problems, people just like yourself. So what are some of the new things going forward that we can look forward to?
Yeah, so I think our little initiative right now that we think could be very big actually is carpools. Because that is one of those things, particularly in suburban communities, there's a lot of it going on, and again, it's one of those pain points because when something changes, it's like you're sitting in front of somebody's house for 10 minutes waiting for them to come out and realize, forgot, Johnny wasn't supposed to be picked up today. Or on the other end of it, even worse, your kids are waiting there, it's 15 minutes after pickup time and they're still standing there because there was a confusion about who the pickup
and that's
is.
a safety issue too.
Absolutely, a safety issue. And Burbio is it just provides a very, again, simple but elegant solution for that because it's one place where you can go, all the information can be entered very simply, and everyone can sync to it. And if there's a change, once you're signed up for that carpool group, you're going to automatically get a notification anytime someone has to decide that their kid does or doesn't need to be picked up, or if there's a driver that needs to switch.
I've coached a lot of teams, and there have been many times at the end of practice where I'm standing there with one kid or two kids, and I say, do you know your dad's mom's cell phone? Because they just asked him who's coming. And then we had our own incident about 2 months ago where we got a phone call from someone, an adult who was standing there with our 6th grader who was not picked up. And so I think one of the things, we are certainly still in sort of the growth phase, getting people to adopt it. This is much, much easier than emailing things around. So to use an example, every community has PTAs. And they may start the year by putting some stuff up on the school calendar. But that's very hard to do over time because you've got to go through school administrators, and most of them send out weekly emails with 5 to 10 events on it. And if you're running around with your kid or you're a parent who works, invariably you get this email at a very inconvenient time. These are volunteers, they're hardworking, they want people to know. So it's not about intent. And then that weekend you're like, that was that email, and you got to go back and find it, and you got to sort through it. Burbio allows those kind of groups to create a calendar that someone can easily click on. And yes, they can still go look at emails, but the calendar itself will have everything there. And then obviously you can sync to it and subscribe to it. So when the group says, all right, I'm going to enter in this month's stuff, you get the emails that you can opt in or opt out of, but you can always go to the calendar. And I think that's one of the things that as we work with groups, sports teams, PTAs, it's getting people to kind of adopt it and understand how easy it is. And that's just the nature of doing a digital startup, is getting people to
to be comfortable with it too. There's a comfort level. Is there any way for you to know at this point in your company's growth how many users there are?
We've got over 10,000 people use the service.
And is that just in Westchester?
Yeah, just in Westchester. And we're growing now. So we launched in late September, and we grew really quickly through December. We've seen a spike in January because of the new year and those wonderful recycling calendars that we can come to Burbio for. So in some ways we like that because it's a way for us. So we're now adding about 1,000 users a week. Not everybody registers because you don't have to. It's just it's a better way to look at things. But we have registered users, as we've said, several thousand from close to 50 communities in the town. So it's really now about adoption and making sure that people find what they need and want to come back for it.
I mean, do you plan to advertise it or use, as Julie was saying, things like social media and more organic awareness to let people know about Burbio?
One of the biggest ways our service has grown is the organizations put their calendars up and tell members about it, and then they sign up because that's what they have to do or that's what they want to do. And there's a lot of calendars out there that you have to handwrite things down on. Burbio allows you to sync.
Right.
So our key to our feeling is that as people use the service, they're going to invite their friends in to be a part of it, and
Right.
that's the way it works. It becomes a social network of sorts. As I said, there's privacy with the calendar, but it grows very organically. I think the expression we kind of use is it's a networked calendar.
Yeah, well, no, that's a good point. And also, I like people will be able to, if you're watching this on YouTube, or if you want to go to YouTube to TownLink and see this show, you'll see that we've also posted videos that you produced, animated videos, which are very short, very entertaining, and very informative, that explain how to use Burbio. And I think you had one on carpools, right? You had one on
We do,
carpools,
yeah.
How to do a group calendar and things like that. But one of the taglines that the very nice voice on the animated videos says is, "What used to be stressful is now simple and easy. Try Burbio.com today. It will change the way you live." Now, I mean, that sounds like, to some people, like, wow, that's a pretty big, claim. But in a very fundamental way, it really is true, right? It's going to make your life more organized, and you'll be where you're supposed to be when you're supposed to be there, right?
Right. No, and I was going to say, and one of the things is there's kind of this overlying stress level when you're not organized, that you, at any given point in time, you could be missing something, and your child could not be picked up from the carpool, and the band concert could have switched nights, and you're not there, and just having this ability to go check, go see, and have everything all in one place, it just really provides an overriding comfort level to your whole life, that I've got it under control, and I'm not going to be missing things, and I'm where I need to be right now.
Right, exactly.
The concept in suburban communities are really great places to start this, is to create a networked calendar, which is how we kind of talk about it when we talk to organizations. Because when we work with certain types of organizations, they may have a WordPress site
Right.
with kind of this hard to use calendar. Yes. And you'll meet with them and they'll go, "We have a website and we have a calendar." And we're working with, we're having a lot of success, but it's like you can have two different types of calendars. You can have what you have, and you're constantly telling people to come look at it. And then they, of course, have to write stuff down. And they don't know when it's changed, because they don't even know. You just did it. Nobody knows. Or you can put a Burbio calendar on it. You can do all the stuff your current one does. You can still tell people to come to your website. But it also works harder for you because it's a part of a network. So we have a program where if you go and you type in a zip code for Yorktown or New Rochelle or wherever, you'll see recommended events that come up. You'll see we have regional and local events, and we work all of our nonprofits and school events. We broadcast that. I mean, that's what our business ultimately will be, a local source of information that will be over time more and more personalized. So we actually, think about services like LinkedIn and Facebook and Pinterest, all of whom took, and even Wikipedia, who took certain categories of information and said, all right, Facebook and LinkedIn are about personal connections and what people are doing. Pinterest is about showing off hobbies and things like that. Wikipedia is about information. So Burbio, the idea is to do that with calendar information.
Right. Now, apart from any of the altruistic motives you've had in creating this, and as you said, it came in large part out of your own personal experience, and understanding instinctively that you're not the only people that have this challenge, and trying to organize all the different events and activities that are part of your family's life. So it's free. So how are you going to be able to make a living if this is going to be a real business, as I think you intend, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I think our thinking is that in the same way that we are aggregating all of these different organizations and allowing one place for people to kind of, as I said, network their calendar so it's easier for everybody, the local merchant community has the same issue. We didn't create Burbio. We created Burbio because there were dozens of different places we had to go to get stuff. We didn't do it because there's dozens of different local businesses that we need to go look at with sort of the same issues, but it actually solves that. It can solve that. So a business can go and put up a group calendar for free and use it, but our idea is to create a marketplace, and really the digital expression would be sort of a platform for businesses to talk to the local communities. We know from having worked with nonprofits that they're very supportive of the local community. so are business, so is the government, the local business community, so is the government.
Right.
So we want to create sort of a platform where people can essentially find out information about what's going on in local business so they can patronize them. We do sell traditional sponsorships, and that'll be a part of our business. Mm-hmm. I think from a digital, sort of the economics of it is we'd like to focus on doing things that get consumers into people's stores.
Right.
That's a better way than just selling banner ads, of which the track record of that is not great.
Right. Yes.
and so that's ultimately the model, and we hope to do something later this spring in a couple communities, hopefully Yorktown, where it could be everything from offers from local businesses going out to a large community, as well as potentially having a buy local, give local program. And we're still a little bit in the early stages, but that for us means it's 30 days off, 60 days off. It's not a year off.
Right. And so can you talk a little bit about how the buy local, give local would work? So would somebody get a special card or, and go into a store? Is it like a loyalty program? Or if you just give everybody a sense of how that might work.
So there's various ways to do these, to do such things. Where we're thinking right now is that the Burbio users would come in and just register with a credit card.
With an existing credit card.
Credit
right.
card. So you would go in and you would sign up for the program with your credit card. And that would be tied to offers that businesses could put up. And the offers could be just a standalone offer, come and get $5 off when you buy something. But we would really start it off by saying these businesses are going to give a certain percentage of their revenue for a given period of time to these nonprofits. And it would be a partnership between the nonprofits who would promote it, obviously,
right,
and then the businesses who would agree to be a part of it. And by tying it to a credit card, I think the goal is to make something that's more enduring, because the businesses then know, I mean, they want to be altruistic, but they also have to run a business.
Yeah.
They actually know that the person is coming in because someone, it drove them in there.
Right.
As opposed to saying, I'll give 5% of whoever I get to come into my store this weekend, just because.
Right.
And then once we've done that, we think that it'll be, the digital expression is a platform. We're a member of a bunch of chambers of commerce. We're obviously involved in the nonprofit community. We know how hard people work to create these events, like, the street fairs and the shop Saturdays.
Mm-hmm.
They're great events, they'll always continue, but after you do it, it's like, whew, next year who's going to do that?
Yeah.
The idea is once you've created sort of a platform like this, that you don't need to work as hard to recreate it.
Yeah, no, that's great. And you were talking before about suburbia, and because I am somebody who plays with words, I can't help but hearing suburbia. So I want to ask you, what's in a name? In other words, where does Burbio come from? Or did I already tip your hand?
I was going to say you did tip it. I'll give you a little flavor for how it came up, though. We were trying to come up with a name, and we were thinking of all the different things that relate to what we're doing. And there's calendars, and there's schedules, and there's local communities, and being a resource. And to be quite honest, we started looking for things, along those lines. And the amount of URLs that are available, is few and far between. So, so we knew we had to come up with something that was a little bit more creative. And certainly the idea of the suburbs, the burbs, came up. And we looked at a few different variations of burb. We actually looked at burble, like Google burble. That was taken. But Burbio was free. That's where we ended up.
And thank you, Julie. And it's interesting. With today's technology and digital culture, and how many of the new brand names end in a vowel. I don't know what that's about, but that just seems the way it is. A lot of new corporate identities and things like that. So we have to wrap it up, but because I do like to play with words, I wanted to add my own tagline to Burbio, because again, I love Burbio, and I haven't even used it that much, but it's a great solution. It's a great tool for communities and for families who live in communities. So congratulations on coming up with that.
You.
And so here's my line: make a date with Burbio. Isn't it about time? Anyhow, I want to thank Julie Roach and Dennis Roach, co-founders of Burbio. Go to burbio.com to set up your own group calendar or use the calendar for your own family. And as always, thank you for watching Frank Talks with Bruce the Blog. And remember, when Bruce the Blog listens, people talk. Thank you.